if you're just training someone, there's a hydrodynamic limit on what you're training. And so if we don't teach them how to swim, we're not maximizing the sport. We're not maximizing who they can be. And so to me, I just never really understand why we just train people when there's an opportunity to teach them at what will be ultimately a higher potential of who they're going to be.
Joining us today is Glenn Mills. Glenn is the founder and CEO of GoSwim, an education platform for competitive and fitness swimming. He is a 1980 U.S. Olympian, NCAA Champion, and has spent more than 30 years coaching, teaching, and producing instructional products and technology for swimmers. Glenn, welcome to the business of swimming.
Thank you very much. Good to see you guys.
So, Glenn and I actually met years ago in Scottsdale, Arizona at the JCC there. And I was working on a software product at the time. And one of the members there had introduced Glenn and I to each other. Funny enough, I found out very early on in that conversation that I learned on a lot of the Go Swim DVD content back in the day. So, to see the evolution of GoSwim as a DVD instructional service evolving into what it is today, my first question for you would be, walk us through that evolution. Like, how did GoSwim get started? What's the why there? And then how has it evolved over nearly 20 years?
Yeah, we're coming up on 25 years later this year. So to think of anything that's been around that long, um, there's some pride that we've lasted this long, and with the same partners that we've been together, as it becomes family after that long, because you've been through everything together. Um, it started as, it goes all the way back to when I was an athlete. I was fortunate to be on one of Ernie McGlishko's stroke films, and he was good friends with my coach, Don Gambrell. And so they were looking for athletes. And so I was on one of his stroke films. And then when I saw the stroke films, Ernie was such a genius. He was so ahead of his time from a technical perspective. And when I saw the film, it was filled with charts and graphs, and it was very scientific, very, really broke everything down into the most detailed structure of things to the point that I didn't understand it. And, so me as an athlete, I saw it and it didn't speak to me the way that Ernie spoke. And so I saw things more from an artistic standpoint. I felt things, just the way that I saw the sport was different than the way that Ernie saw it. Now, obviously, there's a ton of people that see the sport the way that Ernie sees it, but there's also a ton of people that saw the sport the way that I saw it. And so, when I got to that point in my career, I thought, maybe I should make some content that speaks to me the way that I see it. And so I had been filming my athletes a lot at that point, and then just started deciding I was going to make some DVDs. And so I would go to the athletes and I would talk to them and say, what are the things that you do that you think you do really well? And that's really what all the original content was simply conversations with the athletes of them telling me what they thought they did well. It was never me analyzing them. It was simply me asking them what they did, them telling me what they did, and then me learning from them. And that's how it all came about. And to me, it also meant that I was learning more in many, many various ways from all these great athletes. And so over the last 25 years, I've had this pretty amazing opportunity that there are close to 80 Olympic athletes that are now in GoSwim, and I've had these same conversations with every one of them. And so um, it's been this journey of conversations and asking, and none of them have had the exact same answer. And so in my head, I've got all these little Rolodexes of answers. And then when somebody gets in front of me, I'll have this visual thing that comes back that says, "Oh, well, that's like Aaron Pearsall, or that's like Jason Lezak, or that's like," it's like I get these visual references of someone and then say, "Well, try this." And that's kind of what I've tried to put down in GoSwim, so that's why there's 4,000 videos on there, so that hopefully someone can find the thing that speaks to them. There's not, this is how you do something. It's, you've got to search for it. And that's been the journey.
Very, very cool. You mentioned how you got started. What is the why that's driving GoSwim forward now today? You've evolved with technology, right? Like, some of the kids that maybe listen to this, like VHS and DVDs were actually like physical things you had to use to watch a video. Not everything was a streaming service. But like you've had to evolve over time. And what is your why going forward? Because that changes over time too, as we mature and as a business or as a person. So what is the why for Go Swim and yourself kind of moving forward?
Well, that's the cool part, is that that's never changed. It's the what, the how, and the why. And the what is what do you do, the how is how do you do it, and why is why do you do it. And the what is, what do we do? We try to teach people to enjoy the sport more. How do we do it is the thing that's changed so much. It was DVDs, it was, but like you said, VHS, going way back to VHS. That's back when I was swimming. Well, when I was swimming, we used to chisel and rock, and so then it's evolved from then. But to the point that we've had to evolve with how the sport has gone, to the point where now everybody's creating content, and so you can't really make a living on content anymore. It's not that you can go out and create content. Now we still create content, but it's more for the purpose of how do you teach someone. And so the content is more for that individual. The content is coming from the device to that person. And so there's a lot of people that are creating content, but it's not necessarily to monetize the content. It's to get something very personal to that individual. So it's the totally different thing at this point. So yeah, it's the whole thing has changed, and so it's gone from, to the point of, it has to be personalized, and that's
Mhm.
really what we've done, where we've gone from this thing where, hey, you can watch this Olympian, to now, well, everybody can watch the Olympian, but what does it mean to you? And that's what we've had to do. So the why is, the why is, getting back to your question. I apologize, I go all over the place. The why is, we want to make people happier. We want to make people smile. I love to see people smile, and that's really the whole thing. And the smile, if you're working with an Olympian, which we have, I got so many friends that are Olympians, and that smile takes years. The one you really want to get, it takes years, and you may never get it. But if you're working with an 8-year-old, that smile may take minutes, but it's the
Mhm.
same enjoyment from the teacher. And that's the only thing that matters, is that if you make somebody smile at the end of the day or the end of your journey, then you've done your job. And that's why I love seeing people smile, and that's ultimately what we're trying to do, is give someone a sense of enjoyment, fulfillment, and all that. And if you're only looking for times, and it's just a lonely, lonely journey.
Yeah.
Times and awards is just not what it's about.
No, I think we've learned that definitely from athletes recently, kind of talking about that more openly, of their journey in swimming and how they had to find enjoyment in the nitty gritty a little bit. And I being a coach, I totally agree with you, right? Like having those aha moments for those younger age group kids of like all of a sudden they get the technique or they get the stroke or they start to really master that skill, and then they have this like sense of pride about how they've mastered a skill, whether that's dolphin kicking or a high
Yeah.
elbow catch or a breath or a turn. Just really cool moments. And it's really cool that you're helping facilitate that.
Well, again, There's nothing better. I love working with people. I have to say that I had a meeting last week, and it was one of the best meetings I've ever had, and I'm working with a retirement community in Florida, and there's probably 70 to 80-year-olds that are using the app with data. And I had no idea. And my business partner and I were going through and looking at all the videos. And I asked the woman who's running the program, can you just get me some video of them talking to us? Because we sit in offices like you guys, you're by yourself a lot. And so we don't get the feedback as developers. You don't sometimes see the end result. And she
Mhm.
says, you can't imagine how happy they are to see themselves swim. Imagine you're 70, 80 years old. You've never seen yourself swim before. And now, not only are you seeing it, but you're actually looking at data to see your stroke improve. And I'm just like, I'm blown away by this thing. And it's so fulfilling to know that they're enjoying it. And that is really, it makes me happy.
So I know we're gonna take a look at what GoSwim
Mhm.
as a product and a piece of technology looks like today. But when we met and you'd given me access into the GoSwim platform, it was a huge moment for me in my journey as a coach to be able to just have this massive library of content that, like you just mentioned, was searchable and filterable, and you can really look for whatever you want to look for. And I think as a coach who's getting into the craft of competitive swimming coaching, having that was immensely valuable for me in that journey. And that's kind of a good segue into something I think also you helped me really understand. Again, for people who don't know the relationship
Yeah.
of Glenn and myself, Glenn was helping our team every, like, I think twice a week. Even you were coming in. And you were just giving these masterclass clinics essentially in place of practice time. And I mean, those kids don't realize how good they had it. And same for me. I had an opportunity to really learn what does good coaching look like. And something that came to mind when I watched you on deck for the first time was the difference between coaching and teaching.
Mm,
Um, and I think there's a lot of overlap. I think I saw myself more as a teacher than a coach.
yeah.
And so one thing we wanted to ask you was, what does that mean to you, like coaching versus teaching, and how do they maybe inform each other? Is there really a dichotomy there? Yeah, how do you look at that?
Well, I really think that we have to completely identify what our sport is. And I think sometimes we lose sight of it. And we have to remember that this is a skill. And, Thomas, that you've been, when I lived in Phoenix, and, you'd come over to the house and we'd get in the pool. I had an endless pool in the backyard, and it was such a great opportunity to bring people in and do testing. And you could do stroke rate testing, and you could change technique, and you could see how they would react to different techniques at the same water speed and things like that. And every once in a while, I would have a really good swimmer in the backyard, and they weren't reacting the way that I would want them to. And the cool thing about used to being a really good swimmer is I can still get in and do these things for like 8 strokes. Okay. Doesn't matter how old you are, you still hold these skills, right? And so um, I would get in and I would do what I'd want them to do for like 8 strokes at their water speed. Okay. Now I'm old and wise enough to know when to stop. Okay. Cause I would lose the technique. I would lose the
Mhm.
fitness and all that. And so, but you can fake your way through certain steps to show that it's a skill.
Mhm.
Now, the difference is the training of the skill. But if you don't have the skill, you can't get the velocity, you can't get the speed. And so the difference is first you have to have the skill, and then you train that skill with the physiology. If you don't have the skill, water's just going to stop you. Okay. And so the idea is that if you're just training someone, there's a hydrodynamic limit on what you're training. And so if we don't teach them how to swim, we're not maximizing the sport. We're not maximizing who they can be. And so to me, I just never really understand why we just train people when there's an opportunity to teach them at what will be ultimately a higher potential of who they're going to be. And so it frustrates me to see people going back and forth in a form that I know is not what they ultimately can achieve. Now, I try not to go into a pool and judge everyone because I don't know what their physiology is. I don't know what the coach has already done. I don't know, so I don't go in and say, oh, that person's got a horrible stroke. Why don't they fix it? Because I was my own worst enemy when I was a coach, because I might have yelled at someone for a week to do something and then got them out and then realized that they couldn't do it physically, but I yelled at them first before I knew they couldn't do it physically. And so there's so much to it that you have to know every individual first, that you can't just go in and judge somebody else. And so, there's so much to it. It's the hardest job in the world, as far as I'm concerned. It is, well, obviously not the hardest job in the world. I don't want to go there, but I'm just saying,
In the
swim
sports
coaching
world.
is really, really tough. It's really tough to individualize everything, but that's, if you've chosen it,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a hard puzzle to put together, right? Because you're
Yeah.
dealing with individual body types, physiology, flexibility, strength, natural feel for the water. What are they like predispositioned to do? And like you have to put that puzzle together for them, and sometimes use a different language between athletes, and that
Oh,
and that even makes it harder, right? Like how
but
you explain it.
that's where, someone, Michael Brooks, one of my favorite coaches, who's written a book on teaching technique and to kids. He's so smart. People say you could do anything. He said, where would I ever have the opportunity to do all of this?
Mhm.
From physiology to biology to psychology to all of the different things that you have to put together. This is a sport for really smart people,
Yeah.
which is why I don't coach. I just do technique. I can't do it all. That's what my wife does. I
Yeah.
only do one thing. I'm not that smart. So I just do this one thing, this one piece.
There's very few people out there that can do everything when it comes to
Yeah.
swimming. Like like there's really great trainers, there's really great technicians, and it's really hard to be good at both. But
Yeah.
we all need tools to help us improve our weaknesses, right? Like that's a swimmer's
Yeah.
goal, is always to improve whatever you're weakest at. Makes you a more complete swimmer, more complete athlete. And so, like growing up as a coach, I coached early 2000s. Um, and, I watched DVDs, me, Doug Cornish, Jay Dotson at Star Aquatic. We used to sit down every Monday and watch DVDs or YouTube videos, whatever we could get our hands on, just to analyze people like you swimming, and try to figure out, what do we need to be teaching? What are the top breaststrokers of the world doing today
Yep.
that is different than 1980s when I swam, or early 90s? And like, how are we changing the stroke, and how is that affecting, athletes, and what do we need to be teaching? And you look at like innovative products like the Bono fin for Finis, like that changed dolphin kicking for everybody. Like it gave us a way to teach dolphin kicking to everyone, more or less. What is Go Swim? Like you guys have a lot of functionality and a lot of capabilities. Like if I was a swim team and I was running a swim team, how could I use Go Swim to level up my team or my staff?
Feedback. The easiest form of feedback there is. Okay. I mean, it comes down to, don't overthink it. And Rachel and I, when we were in New York City, some people know this, some people don't. We bought an RV. We spent 16 months on the road in an RV. Maddie, our daughter, was a year and a half old when we left New York City. We drove 40,000 miles, visited 80 teams, and filmed 10,000 lengths of video. We did an evaluation in Coach's Eye. That's where, some of the app was born out of Coach's Eye. And when people say, why isn't GoSwim free? Coach's Eye is out of business. Okay, so if you want GoSwim to remain, pay for it. Thank you. Um, we love Coach's Eye. and so it's no longer here. So help me out. Throw me a bone, as they say. So the thing is that we filmed 10,000 lengths of video on our phones. Okay, I stuck the phone in a case, put it underwater. And so the most powerful tool you'll have is right here. That's it. That's all you need. You already have it. And so we've built everything around the device. And so people say, what's the best video? The one that you can share with your swimmer immediately. Do I need a GoPro? Do I have to go underwater? No, just film them, do something. And so the way that we've built the app is based on filming 10,000 videos in a year. What were all the roadblocks? So basically the app, you have your athletes all in there, you film them, you tap their name, it sends it to them. That's it. And so what I tell coaches to do is pick 5 athletes a day. Okay. Walk down, take a 25, talk into your phone while you're walking down the deck and talk to them. Tell them what you see. Now, this is going to make you better as a coach as well, because you have to visualize something. And this was the start of GoSwim, is that I did the drill of the week for, 10 years. And the drill of the week was for me as a coach to say, what can I talk about publicly and share publicly? And this was before people were sharing stuff on the internet. I was going to share it publicly and let anybody just rip me apart, because I was going to pick one thing every week and just put it out there and say, this is what I'm teaching. And that was the drill of the week. And I had to share it publicly because if I didn't do something that I was proud of that I was going to share, then I was a horrible coach, that I couldn't do something. So you have to take a video of one of your swimmers or 5 of your swimmers every day, a 25. It's going to literally take you 3 minutes. Okay. So you walk down and you say, okay, your head position's too high. You're overreaching. I don't like your timing. Your kick is this. You're doing great. You look beautiful, blah, blah, blah. You tap their name. It sends it to them. It not only sends it to them, it sends it to their parents too, which means that their parents get it and they go, oh my gosh, they do love my kid. I'm going to keep paying them. Not only that, it's communication, it's everything, but the kid sees it. The kids love looking at themselves and they get feedback. It's 3 minutes. Within a week, every kid on your team is filmed.
Yeah.
And that's visual feedback. That ups the game. And it really is so easy. That's before you do any performance data, any sharing of education, anything. It's just them seeing themselves. And you want to fix crossover and backstroke? Film them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell them to put their arms out wider. Just film them. It takes 3 minutes. I mean, it's just feedback. Get the phone out. But if you film them and you text it to them, unless you text their parents, you're breaking all the rules.
Yeah.
So we're trying to follow all the privacy laws, COPA, MAP, Safe Sport, GDPR, all of that stuff. So we've already built all that into it. So feedback, that's the biggest thing, is feedback as easy as possible. And that's what we're trying to do.
It's kind of going back to what I said previously about the library of content too that coaches can learn from. Sometimes I feel like when we're looking at product evolution and technology evolution, that we get excited about the shiny new thing.
Oh,
We
yeah.
put the cart ahead of the horse a little bit, and the more that I've been able to see more teams and not nearly as similar experience to being able to travel around and visit 80 teams and see what you saw there. And I remember we talked about that and a lot of the lessons learned. Something I've noticed, talking with different teams, is how often younger coaches don't really receive a lot of guidance, a
Yeah.
lot of direction into how to learn best practices in terms of teaching, in terms of putting together progressions and plans, so people can go through and actually learn swimming at a reasonable pace. And what I've found is a lot of the younger coaches who are less skilled are also working with some of the most important groups, which are the first groups on the team. Um, and so something I would almost just like to stress is I still see the video content library as being a fantastic resource for especially those younger coaches, and for maybe coaches who are, like we talked about in this talk already. Coaches have a lot of things on their plate, so oftentimes leaders may not have enough time to really uh, teach the next generation. And so having a resource like GoSwim, where it's like, hey, here's your access to all this content. Like you can direct them through that, or you can just let them have it, right? And go crazy and just learn as much as you can, soak up as much as you can, because those early years as a coach, that's really what you need to do. But oftentimes the systems aren't necessarily in place to help get those people up to speed.
Well, the Steve Hoffler courses, there's 9 courses. Just the Steve Hoffler courses alone in Go Swim are worth everything. Okay. So if you don't know anything about swim coaching or teaching, you could come in and it's like being a substitute teacher, is what I tell people. Just stay one day ahead of your student. Okay. And if you just take one step at a time and you just teach them that step the day, that day, and then go and watch the next step, you basically could teach someone how to swim really well
Mhm.
just watching the Steve Hoffler courses. And then on top of that, we're in our 6th year of doing the Tuesday Zoom. So every Tuesday we just broke 200, and we had John T. Skinner in for our 200th meeting. So every Tuesday we do an hour-long meeting based on a theme. And so we pick 7 videos. We share the videos for free all week long on social media and on GoSwim. And so we're just over our 200th meeting. But Steve Hoffler's in almost every one of them. You could come in for free, and Steve's in there, and we'll probably feature a Steve video because we try to go from like low to high in the theme is generally how we do it. It's like from beginner to Olympian sort of thing, how it all kind of ties together. And we're changing it a little bit this year because people are getting sick of listening to me. Like next week, Alex, my guy that works with me, is going to be in there. He's going to be talking about a lot of data next week because they've got 350 swimmers on their team and they are knocking the data out. So it's going to be really interesting next week. But still, anybody could come in and ask any question, and it's free. And so you could have come in last week or 2 weeks ago. You could have talked to John T. Skinner directly. About 4 weeks ago, we had 5 Olympians in talking about breaststroke. And it's free. And so, again, we always try to give something away to the community. We've always tried to do that. So there's always something free on GoSwim. But we are still trying to, make enough money to stay in business. So that's kind of how it all works.
Right. I mean, yeah, and to that point of like the feedback and using those videos, like Thomas said, for technique teaching. I remember we used to start practice with the age group team like once a week, and we'd like show, like I'd bring the TV out and like pop in the Dave Salo or David Marsh video,
Mhm.
and we'd be like, all right, we're going to do this drill today. And we would teach the drill that way. So they saw it on TV, but being done by an Olympian. And
Yeah.
then when they go do it, they magically did it 10 times better than if I hopped in the water and demonstrated it,
Yep.
right? And it's like like the power of showing a little kid a hero doing a drill, like all of a sudden they lock in and they realize that drill is really important to do and do it correctly. It's not just coach having me do something that, isn't swimming. It's like, no, this is what this guy is doing, and he's won a gold medal, right? Or he's, been at the Olympics. Like, it's really important for you to do this. And I think that's a really powerful tool for coaches that they don't realize they have at their disposal with GoSwim. It's like, use this for validity and buy-in of your young athletes.
Well, a lot of it also, like here's the app. And so the coaches go on, they schedule the videos, their athletes get the videos, and before they get to practice, they watch the videos that you scheduled. So it's on their phone. These aren't just the videos that we schedule. You pick your technical
Yeah.
signature.
Yeah.
As Thomas said, you can go in as a coach and you say, I don't like Jason Lezak. I mean, he's a nice guy and all, but I don't like his loping stroke. You don't have to share it. Go pick Carolyn Joyce. Go pick somebody else. Spoiler alert, I got Dan Whiffen coming out soon.
Ooh.
So, there's always some new stuff in the pipeline. So,
Yeah.
So, you can pick your own signature, your technical signature, and just share that stuff with your swimmers, the stuff that you want to have your swimmers look like,
Yeah.
you know?
It's you talk about the complexity of being a coach, how it's one of the hardest jobs in the world. I think the fact that you have more athletes with different styles that you can
Yeah.
learn from is super important as a coach, because you're going to encounter people who maybe have that kind of natural loping stroke, and you want to lean into that a little bit. You want to work with what you're given, right? And you want to
Yeah.
work around the strengths of people. And so when you have that uh, that variety of different athletes to learn from, I think it's again a fantastic resource for that as well, to help just broaden your skills as a coach of how you interact with different types of athletes.
Yeah.
I think one of the other really cool things that GoSwim does is it provides access to kind of elite level feedback and coaching to kids that are maybe in more rural markets, or in markets that don't have access to coaches that live, breathe, and die swimming. Like I had as a kid growing up, and I was very fortunate to have. But I mean, even you had to move to go train, and we hear that so many times. Athletes moving out of different markets into bigger clubs to go find that training, but also that technical expertise that they're looking for, that feedback, some of these tools. So, how can athletes kind of take control of their journey from a technical aspect or even a training aspect using GoSwim?
There's multiple ways. They can reach out to coaches, they can reach out to us, they can obviously the education is in there. We did one of the Zoom meetings at the end of January. We had set up through different connections. We had met a small group of coaches from Iran toward the end of last year, and they were taking an officiating course, and they were asking me questions on officiating. It's kind of like asking me questions on periodization of training. Okay, where I just said I'm not the guy. Okay, so I said I got friends though. So I reached out to Jeff Raker, who's one of the starters at Olympic trials, who we swam together as kids. And so Jeff said I can come in at the end of January. So in the meantime, Iran shut down all the internet. Okay, the country kind of went crazy, as did the world. So we held true that we were going to hold this meeting for them, and it was actually a very emotional thing because the one of the leaders of this group actually made it in through VPN during the meeting, and there I was in tears in the meeting when I saw her pop in, because it was really moving that she made it in, and sent us a really beautiful letter afterwards. But we have done evaluations for her and for her group live in the Zoom meetings in the app. So we're working with a group in Ghana right now that they are sending us videos through the app. So from remote locations, we are able to do video evaluations. We're able to do data analysis. We're able to do really anything. So if you have access to coaches, we'd love to set up a network where people can work with other coaches here in the United States. We'd love to work with, I don't know, do you guys know any coaches that would be willing to jump on here? I mean, Captain might have a decent network of people that would be willing to help people around the country that are in need of something like that. So this is a virtual product. It's shared everywhere in the world. It is the internet that literally, if I make an update in the app and you are connected wherever you guys are, it is the speed of light. It updates. So there are no borders anymore. I mean, it's just, even in Iran, they're getting it. Even in Ghana, they're getting it. So it's it's where are you, and do you have a phone? That's what it is now. So there's no excuses is really the thing.
Yeah, you know my perspective on esports and video
Yeah.
games and the communities that like online has, or the internet has essentially provided,
Yeah.
so a lot of these players who are as good as our Olympians are, but at
Yeah.
this video game, essentially taught themselves online with,
Yep.
again, oftentimes you have the best players in the world who then create their own content.
Yeah.
And I think GoSwim is, like you said, there's a lot of content out there now. A lot of people want to be doing content, but you have reliable content and a library
Yeah.
of reliable content that spans years. Because foundationally, like, yes, the sport has changed a lot in the last few decades, but for the most part, we still do most things very much the same. It's
Yeah.
small tweaks here and there. And so to be able to have like that, library of stuff and that evolution as well. This is a good segue into something that's a little bit kind of outside of specifically like competitive swimming or even, fitness swimming and swimming in general. I really wanted to ask this because I think this is one of our goals here at the Business of Swimming is to, talk about like entrepreneurship and business and how to maximize your business. How like younger people or people who are trying to be maybe entrepreneurial, looking to be entrepreneurial, maybe in swimming or maybe just in general. Any lessons that you'd like to maybe share about starting a company and pivoting? Because I think one of the things that
Mm.
is very indicative of your story is the art of the pivot. The why has always been the same, like you said, but you've had to pivot multiple times in some pretty major ways. And if you hadn't pivoted, GoSwim probably wouldn't be around today if you
Yeah.
tried to stay tied to the original business model. So, kind of a two-parter there.
Yeah.
What to be thinking about in terms of starting a business? Any lessons learned you'd like to share, and then how does maybe pivoting play a role?
Yeah, without a doubt. First of all, there's no reason that you shouldn't be teaching if you're a coach. The people that what I can tell you is that when we went around the country, um, there were places that how we funded the trip around the country was simply asking for people to allow us to offer evaluations when we visited. They would ask us, how much does it cost to have you visit? And we would say nothing. We want to learn from you. We want to visit your team. However, you have to support us in asking your team to allow us to offer evaluations. That was it. Okay. And they said, well, how much are the evals? And we said, well, it's $100 for 4 strokes, which is 1 lap of each stroke, and $200 for 4 strokes, starts and turns. And the starts and turns were, freestyle, start off the blocks, backstroke start, and then the turns. And I can't tell you how many people said that's too much money, because this was 2015, 2016. They said it's too much money, nobody will pay it. I can't tell you how many places said it's too much money, they won't pay it. And we would walk out of their pool with $4,000 or $5,000. And they would say, I can't believe people paid it. And I said, have you ever asked for it? And if you don't ask for it, they'll never give it to you. It's as simple as that. And but we went to other places that we knew the coach never followed through. They never endorsed us. They never asked, because we would go to places where we know the coach asked and we had no problem. And we went to other places where we literally walked out with like $200 and we couldn't even cover the campsite fee. And we'd subtly ask people, did the coach say anything about evals? And they'd say no. And so we know we got no support. That's going to happen. But we know that coach is going to be struggling forever, because if they didn't ask for us, they're not going to ask for themselves. And so when those people have problems from a financial standpoint, we know it's their own fault. So if you're a young coach, ask for it. Do not go home and do extra work. I'm literally thinking of building into the app the ability for you to charge, for you as coaches to charge for your time at home to do evaluations. $10. When Rachel and I lived in New York City, I did 3 to 4 evaluations a night in Coach's Eye, and I charged for it when I was coaching, because that was my family time. Think of every other profession. Think of every other profession. You are not owned by your families, and they will respect you more if when you go home and you're doing work for them, you are charging them for it. You will do a better job on the work you do for them at home. If you're doing evaluations, if you're doing data analysis, if you're doing anything at home, you will do a better job. If you do a better job, they will pay you more money. And so the idea is that every other profession out there, if you call a lawyer up at night, you're getting charged. And again, somebody will say, well, lawyers go to extra school. Look at the time that you put into writing a practice when you're not at practice. Look at the time that you go into, on the weekends. How many weekends do you spend at meets? Just add the hours up. Okay. Yeah, they have a title. I get it. We might not be able to hold that bar exam or whatever, but you know what? It's as much work doing this and understanding what we just talked about. If you want to be great at this, tell me how many hours Bob Bowman has put into what he does. Stack that up against anybody. I'm sorry. It is what it is. You want to be great at something, you got to put in the hours, and you've put in as many hours as anybody else. Charge for your time. As far as entrepreneurial is concerned, treat every job as if you own it already. Every job as if you own it already. You'll never have to worry about it. And so you want to be an entrepreneur, always look around for, what else can I be doing? I heard one of your other podcasts about weekend clinics, about triathletes, about, there's so many opportunities. I'm doing work with James Murdoch right now. If you don't know who James Murdoch is, look him up. He's the guy that invented the endless pool. He invented the endless pool. I've had 3 endless pools. Thomas has been in my endless pool. I made so much money in my endless pool in Arizona.
I helped with the install.
Yes, Thomas did help with the install, digging, and he invented a new company, Slipstream. Look it up, okay? I have one. I can put it in the back of my car, drive across the state, drive in somebody's backyard pool, and teach a lesson. I'm going to be making some videos for him, okay? It doesn't cost $50,000. It costs about $4,000. He can get you in an entire pool with a motor for less than 10 grand, and he'll finance it. There is no excuse. And you can use your phone to do video feedback. So it's just like there are so many opportunities to make a little bit of extra money and do what you love to do. I mean, it's just, but you just, I was so fortunate. I met some of the right people early on, and they said, you can think about it forever, or you can just do something. And it's better to do something and fail than it is to just think about it. And just try. I mean, that's all I can tell you is sometimes you just got to try. And yeah, Thomas, we've pivoted so many times. When we started the subscription business, I put out a questionnaire on GoSwim because I hadn't bought a DVD in years. And I'm watching Netflix and we're selling DVDs. And I'm like, what are we doing? And I said, should we go download, DVD, or streaming? And I put out a questionnaire, and streaming was last by 80%. And I said, okay, we're going streaming. Because DVDs, nobody was buying them. Downloads in the swimming business is this big. If I sold it to one coach, every coach would have it. And for those of you that don't know, every professional swimmer on GoSwim has been paid for the last 25 years. We still pay our professionals. We still pay them. So this is not money just doesn't go into our pocket. We support all of the athletes on GoSwim. So that's been a model from the very beginning. And they all still earn income from being part of us. So
That's awesome. And kind of to touch on what you said, like the entrepreneurial spirit in swimming, like coaches, a lot of great coaches are very much self-starters, right? Like you have to go learn and do all these things. And I feel like a lot of coaches get into a teacher mentality, and I don't say that as a disrespect for teachers because my mom was a teacher, but they have this mentality that, I get a paycheck and then I need to go spend 10% of my paycheck on my athletes, and like I need to make sure that they have everything they need to succeed, and that's 100% on me. When GoSwim is a product that you can resell to your athletes,
Yeah.
and it's a reasonable product to resell. It's an upsell. Like that's just good business sense that you can increase the lifetime value of your customer because they want this feedback and they're willing to pay for this feedback. You have to create a product that they're willing to buy. And you've already
Yeah.
created the product. They just have to implement it, really.
Yeah, and we've changed our pricing model to a more team-oriented pricing structure so that you can get everybody in here for just pennies. Uh, and then you can monetize on the back end, like I just talked about. If they're in there, you can do a PayPal structure or a Venmo on the back end, where you can just say, send me a race. You want me to do an eval for you on the back end? Shoot me $10, and I'll just go into your account and I'll just pull the race up and I'll just do a markup on it. Boom, done.
Yeah.
We can make it very easy on you. And if we get into the dev side of things, I can build something in the app where I take 10% of that. So
Yeah.
so
No,
it all depends on how you want to go about it. Get your
right.
team in, and
Get your
then I
team
won't
in.
do that.
Right. Um, is now a good time? I think now's a good time to kind of pivot and like let's dive into Go Swim and like let everybody see what it is, right?
So it just so happens that SECs are going on right now. And so I'm going to do this as quickly as possible just to show. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to create a new analysis here, and I'm going to go to lane 4. And so you can get as accurate as you want, but I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to add data here to lane 4. And so lane 4 is Texas, I think. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for the strobe. And so I'm going to get the start as close as possible. Now, again, I can go through this. I can do this live during the race, but I'm just going to go ahead and hit start. Now you'll see over to the left the stroke and the turn button. That's all I'm going to be hitting right now. So I'm watching lane 4, which is the black cap. There he goes. Now backstroke, I'm hitting his first arm each time that goes. Turn, you can see the data showing up in the bottom, or his stroke showing up in the bottom. These guys are so fast.
So you're measuring stroke cycles here, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Stroke cycles. So breaststroke and butterfly. Breaststroke, I like the head coming up. It's very identifiable. Backstroke and freestyle, it's the first hand hit. Butterfly, it's the hand hit. Now again, he's out of the frame, but I have the window set on square. There's an aspect ratio at the top. I'll change it that way.
I like how this is all happening in real time too. Like you're capturing the data. We're talking about this. You're changing the aspect ratio.
Yeah.
And then Florida happens.
Oh my gosh. I already did the data on Florida. So I'm adding Texas's data right now.
Like 7. That's what a
That's a beast of a leg there. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to hit finalize. All right. So right here we go. So down at the bottom, you can see that I have all of the data. I've got breakout split, breakout distance, underwater velocity, cycle tempo, distance per cycle, 15-meter split, swim velocity, turn finish time, and lap time. So that is already shared to if they were connected, okay? So if they were connected to the app, that is already shared to the athletes, the coaches, everything. Okay. Now, the other cool part about this is in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see the time there is 121, and it's got a score of 503. When I click that, it's going to jump out into GoSwim and recommend videos for those athletes. Now, again, this is a medley relay. If it was a little kid, it's going to recommend, little kid stuff. So it's connected to the library to then decide what videos should be shared. Now I'm going to go to the website really quick to show how that was shared over there. Let's go here. And now we're just building out the data, but there's lane 2 and there's lane 4. So there's Tennessee's relay or Florida's relay and there's Texas's relay. And there we're already comparing the two relays against each other. And you just saw me add the data. So already it's there. Now, if I come up here, let's go to, we call that Great Races Male. We're going to go to medley relay, short course yards. And we're just building this stuff out. And there's only 2 races right there, which is just those 2 because I haven't added everything. Once you have the races in there, you just click it. And then there's the race. So you'll go to the actual race. And then down here, there's the race data from lane 2. There's the race data from lane 4. And so everything is immediately updated everywhere. And then when you get into all of the, the website, as we talked about before, if you want to find something very specific, let's say you wanted to find a breaststroke video of an Olympian, all the elite videos are Olympians breathing, you would click that, and then it just brings up all of the Olympians breathing, and there's Jessica Hardy. And then if you like that, you say, okay, I want that to go to my group next Tuesday, and you write them a little note, and then that's how you schedule videos, and it goes to everybody in your group.
Oh my
So,
God.
yeah.
You made coaching so easy. Like, like, and I say that like a little bit tongue in cheek because we used to literally like pile through YouTube videos and
Yeah.
like find the segment that worked.
Yeah.
And then we would email that out and like watch this, but then you worry about like putting a kid on YouTube and
Well, that's
like
exactly it.
right?
Yeah.
And so like being able to say, hey, this like we wrote our week's worth of workouts, right? And like
Yeah.
these are the technical aspects that we're gonna focus on
Yeah.
as a team. And here's a video for each day for that
Yeah.
technical focus of whatever set, right? And it may be a catch, it may be breakouts, it may be breathing and breaststroke, top of the head, going through the top of the head versus
Yep.
lifting your eyes
You can
type of
schedule
thing.
a whole course too. You could
Yeah.
find a course and you could click one button and say, boom, and it'll just schedule the whole course. So, yeah, it's and the YouTube thing is legit. I mean, I love YouTube as well, like anybody else does. But the thing is that if they have somebody else in their house that's using the YouTube, if they have an older brother or sister or somebody else, and that account is connected, they're gonna get videos that are suggested to somebody else as well. So YouTube's a great resource. It's got a ton of fantastic stuff on it, but you have to look at what are the suggested videos of other people in the home. And so what ours is it is a completely gated, housed sort of thing with just good swimming on it. That's it.
Yeah. That's
You know,
awesome.
so
That's incredible. And you have Glenn, you have a kind of a special coming up for athletes and coaches to get on the platform and
yeah.
kind of see it in action. What is that?
So we just this morning, we're not sure yet. You guys know what it's like. Our devs are working. We've got it on the staging server. So in the next couple days, we're gonna open up the site for free for the next 5 weeks. It's going to be GoSwim.tv/championship. You can come in and you can use the app, use the site for free for the next 5 weeks, which means the emphasis of this is to allow parents to come in, film their championship races over the course of the next 5 weeks, get some data, get some understanding of what is my child's distance per cycle? What is their tempo? How do I take their next season? What is their breakout point when they're swimming well? And how do I help them over the next season understand what they should be doing in practice? Because the championship meets is not where they improve for next year. It's the training on the daily basis. It's the small steps that take place on a daily basis. And if they're not looking for 1 or 2 inches on every length, it really only it comes down to incremental changes on a daily basis. It's not the hope that happens in the last month, but you need that data in the last month to say, what do I need to do next year? And the one thing, I'll be putting out a couple videos in the next week. The one thing that you have to be, this goes all the way back to the beginning, what Thomas and I were talking about at the beginning, is about why focus on skill. Because if you're young enough, the one thing you can always count on is growth will happen. Okay? If you focus on skill, growth will happen, and that brings in and of itself performance. You don't have to worry about anything else. If you
Hmm.
focus on skill, you will grow, you will go faster. And without skill, it doesn't matter.
We had a conversation with Doug and Sarah Warham of Nashville Aquatics Club,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
something that Sarah had talked about was how important communication is with the parents, and making sure that if you don't fill in the gaps, the parents will fill it in with their own story. And so I think what you just said was really important for people to understand. It's like we want parents to be supportive and in the
Yeah,
right way.
yeah.
And we want them to support the process as we need it to, unravel. And I think by giving them data, front loading them with the information, giving them a framework to think through what are we actually trying to accomplish this season
Yeah.
with that breakout point, with the stroke count. I think that's really important to get ahead of that with parents and the communication.
Well, here's the role. This is the way I see it. The parent's role is to capture the memory, film the race. If everything works the way it's supposed to, parents do a great job of capturing the memory and filming the race. If you do it in the app, the athlete gets it. The athlete's job is to rewatch the race and add the data. By adding the data, they understand the race. They understand the data. They re-engage with the race. The coach's job is to receive the data, to look at it. I don't want coaches putting the data in. They got enough stuff to do. The coaches shouldn't be spending their time doing all this stuff. The coaches simply film at practice as a way to communicate back to the athletes. My wife doesn't add data, but my wife looks at data as the head coach of Northwestern and then implements that in training. What is the tempo? What are the breakout points? What are the things that are these athletes need to do in order to achieve what they need to achieve? And so everybody has a job. And the parent's job is to, the first and most important thing, capture the video. Without it, we got nothing. We got nothing.
So coaches, all right, coaches, all of you for championship season, you have prelim and finals coming up, right? And you can implement this strategy where you are already taking what parents are doing, which is filming the race anyways. You're giving ownership to your athletes to analyze that race during prelims. And then that gives you great discussion points for how they can alter race strategy, stroke rates, kickouts, all those things for their final swim, and just see the effect that has and the growth of the athlete as the meet goes on, of them taking ownership of each and every single one of their prelim swims and then turning around and executing on strategy when they've watched the race and owned the data and you've given that feedback, what type of growth they'll have from prelims to finals. Because they're not coming up with their own story. They now have a strategy and execution from prelims to finals. So I challenge you, use the free trial, try it out, and see what kind of growth your team has at championship meets.
I mean, the thing is that Rachel, seriously, when she first started using it, she had a guy, you could see his tempo at the 75 change in
Yeah.
prelims of a long course 100 breast. And she showed it to him. He fixed it in finals, literally went a second and a half faster in finals.
Right, you see a kid that just their
Yeah.
tempo is too high the first half of the race. You're like,
Yes.
"Look, you're like 1.2,
Yeah.
and then you're not able to hold that. I want you to start at 1.4 because you're starting your stroke
Yes.
too soon, and you're losing the easy speed between
It's
strokes."
enthusiasm.
Right? And then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna be a little bit calmer, a little bit more mentally relaxed at first 50." And then all of a sudden, what do you know? They back half 100 breaststroke or 100 fly finally.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, that was a much easier way to swim that event." Glenn, thank you for joining us. Thank you for dropping that knowledge, and thank you for having a positive effect on the swim community and the business
Mm.
of swimming, and helping teams and athletes and coaches elevate the sport, and make the sports high end, all that data just accessible to everyone, which I think is really important for the sport to succeed long term. Because, like you said, it is so skill based. It's not just technique; it's skill. And when you have access to great skill work and better understanding of it, everybody succeeds, and it's just going to help the sport. So, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate the time. And check out GoSwim. Look for their special offer, coaches. If you don't use it, you've missed a big opportunity to make your team take 10 steps forward.
Thank you, guys. Go Captain.
Thanks, Glenn.